When most of us think about making it big, we get this picture in our heads, right? The struggling artist, the passionate creator pouring their soul into their work. It's a great story, super romantic, but financially, it's like choosing to play life on hard mode. But what if I told you there's a simpler, more direct path? It's not nearly as glamorous, but it is so much more effective. And that's exactly what we're going to get into today. So picture this. On one side, you've got that hard path, selling straight to people, to consumers. You're fighting for what's left of their paycheck after they've paid rent, bought groceries. You're up against all their real-life money stress. But then, on the other side, you've got let's call it the easy path, selling to other businesses. These guys are actively looking for ways to spend money because for them, it's not an expense, it's an investment they expect to pay off. The whole game is just completely different.
And that right there brings us to the absolute core idea of this whole explainer. It's this. The simplest path to wealth is to help other people make money. Now, that might sound like just a catchy little quote, but it's not. Think of it as the basic operating system for how our entire economy works. Seriously, if you can get your head around this single rule, you basically understand the whole game.
Okay, to really let this sink in, let's try an analogy. I want you to imagine the entire economy as this massive, flowing river of money. And your ability to build any kind of real wealth, it all comes down to where you decide to stand along that river. So let's map this thing out. All right, so where do most people start? They start way down at the end, at the river's mouth. This is the consumer market. It looks huge, right? A massive, sprawling delta with millions and millions of people. But the problem is, the water here is super shallow. This is where money has already been taxed, and it's already got a name on it, for rents, for food, for bills. You're basically left trying to scoop up the leftovers. It's a ton of work for not much reward. But what happens if you travel upstream? Well, that's where you find the business-to-business, or B2B market. And here, the river is totally different. It's not a shallow delta. It's a powerful, focused current. This is where businesses are spending money before it gets taxed, and they're doing it with cold, hard logic, not emotion. They're not really spending at all. They're putting money to work, expecting to get more back. The flow here is fast, it's deep, and it's way more predictable. So what's driving this powerful current? It really all boils down to one simple question. When a business is deciding whether to buy something from you, they are not thinking about how they feel about it. They don't have personal budget anxiety. They care about one thing and one thing only. Will this purchase make us more money? If your answer to that is a clear yes, well, the sale is pretty much a done deal. And look, if you want a perfect real-world example of this, just look at Amazon. We all think of it as the giant online store, right? The place we buy books and gadgets and everything else. But here's the crazy part. For years, that massive retail business barely turned a profit. The real moneymaker, the engine of the whole company, is Amazon Web Services, AWS. That's their B2B side. They provide the cloud computing, the digital backbone for thousands of other companies. Their entire profit machine is built on helping other businesses win. Okay, so if all the real money is flowing upstream in this B2B world, the big question is, how do you get in on it? Well, it all starts with how you position yourself to tap into that current. And step one is learning how to directly connect what you do to the flow of revenue. Now, this is a really, really important mindset shift, so listen up. Whether you have a regular job or you run your own business, you are not getting paid to just check off a to-do list. You're not paid to send emails or sit in meetings. The only reason you get paid is because somewhere along the way, what you do helps your company or your client make more money than you cost them. That little gap between your cost and the value you create, that's their profit. So I think it's time for a little personal revenue audit. It's simple, just 3 steps. First, figure out what you actually produce. What's the tangible results of your work? Second, draw a direct line from that result to how it either makes the company money or saves the company money. And third, this is the most important part, put a number on it. Quantify that impact. Just doing this simple exercise can totally transform you from someone who just does tasks into someone who clearly creates value. Let's take a perfect example, customer support. A lot of companies see this as a cost center, right? Just an expense. And if you work in that role, you might think your job is just to answer phone calls and emails. But it's not. Your real job is revenue retention. Every time you keep a customer happy and stop them from canceling, you are directly protecting the company's income. You're not a cost on a spreadsheet. You're a revenue defender. All right, so once you've figured out how you create value, the next piece of the puzzle is making sure you actually capture a fair piece of it. And that comes down to two big things: who you're selling to, and, maybe even more important, how you price what you're selling. Let's just hammer this point home one more time. Selling to a regular person is an emotional roller coaster. You're asking them to part with cash they could be using for, well, anything else. But selling to a business? It's just a math problem. It's logical. If you can walk in and show them that giving you $50,000 will make them $200,000, the decision is easy. They're not spending money. They're basically buying money at a 75% discount. Who wouldn't take that deal? And here's the kicker: the amount of effort it takes is just wildly different. Think about the stress, the marketing, the customer support you need for 500 different customers. It's immense. Now compare that to finding just one business client who gets the value you bring and has the budget for it. It sounds crazy, but finding that one client is often a much, much simpler path. The lesson? Focus on fewer, bigger, higher value deals. This leads us right into pricing. See, most of us are trained from day one to think about money in terms of time, an hourly wage, a yearly salary. The problem is that puts a hard, unbreakable cap on how much you can earn. There are only so many hours in a day. But when you shift your thinking and you start pricing based on the value you create, well, that breaks the link between your income and your time. Suddenly, your earnings are tied to your impact, and impact can scale in a way that time just can't. So how do you do that? Well, a great little rule of thumb to start with is the 10x value rule. It goes like this: if you can confidently show a client that what you're doing for them will make them an extra $100,000, then charging them $10,000 is an absolute no-brainer. Think about it from their side. They're getting a 10-to-1 return on their investment. It's an amazing deal for them, and it means you get to capture a fair slice of the value you brought to the table. Okay, so you've got your positioning right and you've got your pricing strategy figured out. There's just one more piece to this puzzle. You need to develop the right skills, the skills that let you actually step in and direct the flow of that money river yourself. Let's be real. Not all skills are created equal, at least not in the eyes of the market. The skills that get the highest paychecks are always, always the ones that are closest to the money. We're talking about things like sales, lead generation, copywriting, marketing that you can actually measure. These aren't just nice-to-have skills. They are the actual engines that drive a business's revenue. Here's a perfect way to think about the difference. A good graphic designer, they make things look pretty, and that's a skill. But a great graphic designer takes that exact same skill and points it at a business problem. They create an ad that you can directly link to a 15% jump in sales. See the difference? One is a subjective art, the other is a measurable business result. And the market always, always pays for results. Okay, now this is where the big question always comes up, and it's a really important one. Someone's always thinking, but what about teachers? What about doctors and social workers? Professions that give so much value to society but aren't about making a company rich. And this, right here, points to a really uncomfortable truth about the economic system we live in. And that is, societal value and direct market value are just not the same thing. A teacher provides a value to our world that you can't even measure. It's so high. But a corporate sales trainer often gets paid a lot more, simply because their skill is directly tied to helping a company boost its revenue. Now, this isn't a judgment about who is more worthy. It's just an observation of how the machine works. So, where does that leave us? What's the big takeaway? Look, this is not about telling you to give up on your passions. It's not about ignoring things that contribute to society. It's about being smart. It's about understanding the rules of the game so you can choose your path with your eyes wide open. So here it is, your path upstream boiled down to 4 key principles. Number 1, always be able to draw a straight line from your work to the company's revenue. Number 2, focus on clients, businesses that actually have money and are looking for ways to invest it. 3, stop trading your time for money, start trading your value for money. And finally, number 4, actively build the skills that directly impact a company's bottom line. And so that really just leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Are you going to spend all your energy down at the mouth of the river, in that wide, shallow delta, just trying to scoop up whatever's left over? Or are you going to start moving upstream? Are you going to learn how to build the aqueducts, the skills, the services, the business that can actually direct that powerful flow? The choice, as always, is yours.